with a proper patch. Somebody, kind helpful rigid pilot, grabbed all the side wire and pulled a rip into the exit hole there once upon a time. Basically, if you ever get anybody trying to grab all your side wires, stop them immediately, because even rigid pilots don't know the correct way to pull. So never let anybody pull on side wires. And you connect that wire. Check the other spoiler's working freely. And connect it. Pull 15 degrees of flap, which is basically level with the bottom of the keel. And I haven't put the rod on the back. Normally I've done that at this stage. Normally you do that at the point when you zip up the top surface of the pattern. So, located. The flap range is about plus, it's from 45 to about -5. So that is level with the bottom keel, that's normal min-seat flap. Full flap is there. Don't normally use it for landing unless you're desperate for a short landing. Normally just use a normal flap setting. And zero flap, or +5 I should say, is about there. Zero flap should be there. As you can see, not a lot of tension required for that, and for normal flap setting, very little extra tension as well. And there is one complete glider rigged in just over 15 minutes. The other points of note in terms of patches, one small tear there from somebody turning their glider around who caught it. Did dink the gel coating, but it's right on a rib, and the leading edge of the decel isn't structural. The only bit that's structural is the I-beam at the back, so that's not a concern there at all, but it hasn't broken through the carbon fibre Kevlar layers behind the gel coating anyway. Obviously the tips tend to get worn in places, particularly rigging and de-rigging, so there's a couple of little wears there. This side is actually the better of the two, to be honest. It's got less marks. The other area where there's problems is because of the way I take those tubes out. That used to catch on the corner there, but I've got Mylar inserts there to protect it now inside, so it's not catching the same. Those patches have been there about 4 years. There is a slightly worse patch on this side where I put barbed wire. Basically there's a parallel cuts there from the barbed wire. With a sticky on, but also this side you can see that layer of the sail is worn through a bit, and there, so it wouldn't hurt from some patches on there as well. Other than that, no patches. All three number 7 ribs, which is these ribs, they have got broken at one point down in the arm inside there. What happens is if you do a heavy keel slide and the tip hits, first of all that bends, but if you're doing a really heavy one then the rib catches and the rib breaks. Once you've rebuilt them and reinforced them, what can happen is the bolt in the decel, the bottom bolt, gets pulled out, and then you've got to stick it back in with resin and make sure it's in exactly the same place. Otherwise you're going to have to experiment with resetting the angle of the rib, of which there is adjustment on every rib, top and bottom. The other thing that happens is these arrowheads, which hold the tension on the sail, when you're taking the ribs in and out, they can have a tendency to move slightly and slowly extend themselves. So after a while, when the tension gets too great, then the bolt bends. This is one that's always right at the end of its extension anyway, and does tend to get bent easily. I've run out of replacement bolts, so that one's just stayed on there. I haven't bothered doing it. It doesn't cause any issues, just makes the tension on this side when pulling the ribs on slightly more, so it's slightly harder to pull on. And then of course you fix your tail fin. There's a restraining rope and it slides on both sides there, and then connects together.
Do you want to take that off so they can see it without it?
Sorry?
Do you want to take that off so they can see it without it?
Yeah. This tail fin has been patched a couple of times where that's pulled through and where it's separated from the main body when I first had it. But that's been solid now for about 4 years. Not needed any more work. Yeah. Let's give a general pan around to the glider then. Walk round it, all the way around.
Yep.
Show the spoiler. Watch this. Fine. Pull the wing up. You can see the spoilers deploying. And the same on the other side. There is adjustment for the tension on the wires. In there, you've basically got to hook it out with a coat hanger and adjust the length. The problem is at the moment is the limiter is stopping it just short of 90 degrees. So ideally, could do with a longer wire on the bottom surface, to be honest. The actual side wires could do to be longer, because this is originally configured for the Gerard's carbon fibre A-frame, which is a slightly different configuration, I think. The other one to note is there is a slight fray on that wire there. It's been like that for 6 years, from when I wrote off the carbon fibre A-frame, trying to take off downwind on a winch. Big mistake. Too confident in those days. Right, that'll do. Stop it.